Hello and welcome to the first BoKcast of 2020. What a crazy, wild new world we live in.
Hey, we're living beyond Blade Runner.
We're going to talk about our favourite albums of 2019, but first we're going to go back a little bit and we're going to try and reevaluate our 2018 lists for all you people that were all the way back in the glory days of the beginning of the podcast. You'll know that we did favourite albums of 2018, and
Yeah.
I mean, both of us have probably got some little tweaks we need to make.
Yeah, and I guess the point that we're trying to make, at least that we've always been interested in, is that these sort of lists that you always see are very arbitrary and of the moment.
Mm-hmm.
What is interesting about music or music, a film or any sort of art form is how it changes for you.
Yeah.
Like a certain thing that you dislike, maybe after a certain while you're in a different headspace, you like it. Maybe things that you liked then aren't as prevalent in the future. So
Yeah.
what we did was we've evaluated our top 10 from the last year, and there might be some interesting changes.
Definitely.
So
Do you want to start us off with
Yeah,
your
okay.
original 2018 list?
So, my original 2018 list, 10 down to 1, it was the albums of that year from Neckbeard Death Camp, sort of grindcore silliness. Sophie, which was sort of like very emotionally overwrought, sort of electronica. The Aphex Twin EP, Sons of Kemet's jazz album, Death Grips, Year of the Snitch, Kuranbin, which was sort of Thai flavoured, sort of weird funk jazz type stuff. Number 4 was Aero Sweatshirt, some rap songs. 3 was Death Heaven, 2 was Idols, and number 1 is Daughters. 1 year later, how that list would look, there has been a few changes. Number 10, replacing Neckbeard Death Camp, would now be the solo album from Joe Cardamone, previously of the Icarus line.
Okay.
And this is called Holy War. And I just found in the last year I've been re-listening to this and listening to this and listening to this. This is like real scuzzy, grimy electronica. It's like some LA cowboy junkies have just discovered synthesizers. It is grotty and nasty. And if you love the Icarus line, which I did, this is a great album. Real sleaze. Fucking great. 9 would now be Death Grips. 8 would be a new addition. That would be Kids See Ghosts with a self-titled record.
Okay.
I slept on this a little in the previous year, but re-listening to it, it's just fucking great. It's so strange and weird, and I think it's a real high point for Kanye, especially considering Jesus was shy. Number 7 would now be Death Haven, which is dropped from 3. I've sort of not really loved that as much this year. Number 6 would now be Kuranbin, so just down 1. 5 would be Aero Sweatshirt, once again down from 1. Number 4, the biggest new entry, would be JPEG Mafia's Veteran, which I just love. In terms of experimental hip-hop with repeat listen, it's well outdone Death Grips for me.
Okay.
Year of the Snitch. It's just fucking great. The songs on it, I just love it. The production on it is so weird and out there that maybe it did just take me a year to go, no, this is up there.
Yeah.
Number 3 would now be Idols, once again down from 2. Number 2, all the way up from number 7 in the previous year is Sons of Kemet. I've just re-listened to this album. I just love it so much. It's so good. It's definitely up there in the best jazz records. And best albums of the last decade, I would say. I just love it. It's so ferocious and, just give that album a listen. number one remains Daughters. That's unchanged for me. Daughters, just fucking great. I love that album. So that's how it changed for me. Whether that'll change next year, who knows?
Yeah.
But I won't do 2018 next year. I'll reevaluate 2019 next year.
Yeah. My original 2018 top 10 was number 10, Haru to Shura by Haru Nomuri. Sort of Japanese pop, rap, electronica type stuff. Very nice little album. Number 9, Trench by 21 Pilots. Very good pop record. Again, I'll go to bat for it. Number 8 was Fever Dream by Everything Everything, which was a cheat because it was from 2017. I just loved it so much, and I still love it, but obviously it was like very immediate at the time. I sort of felt like it needed a little bit of love. Obviously, that's gonna go. Number 7, You Won't Get What You Want by Daughters. Horrendously underrated by me. Number 6, Time Will Die and Love Will Bury It by Rollo Tomasi. Excellent sort of math metal kind of epic by one of my favourite math metal acts on the planet. Number 5, The Marauder by Interpol. A perfect indie rock record. Number 4, Year of the Snitch by Death Grips. They're Death Grips. Number 3, the self-titled album by Kids See Ghosts. Again, a perfect little 27-minute long. No, even 27. Isn't it like fucking like 21-minute long little fucking punch in the mouth?
It's definitely under. What?
It's very short.
Under half an hour.
Yeah, it's 7 tracks of perfect experimental hip hop.
Yeah.
Number 2, God's Favourite Customer by Father John Misty. Excellent singer-songwriter indie folk rock album about a guy falling apart. And number 1, Joy is an Act of Resistance by Idols.
Yeah.
Like the best punk record
it's so good.
I've heard since Brutalism.
It's so good.
So my revised list would be number 10 stays as Haru to Shura by Haru Nomuri, because it's an album I'll still revisit and it's still a lot of fun. Number 9 is now Time Will Die and Love Will Bury It by Rollo Tomasi. Still stays in the top 10, but it's definitely sort of not something I've found myself going back to as much. It's still epic and it's still sweeping, it's still beautiful, but yeah, other things have sort of taken priority, including the new number 8, Your Queen is a Reptile by Sons of Kemet.
Hey.
Which over time I listened to a lot more after you were so positive about it, and I was like, maybe there's something to these Sons of Kemet guys. And then I actually gave it a listen and it's fucking phenomenal. It is so urgent, it's so ferocious and fun as fuck to listen to. Number 7 is Trench by 21 Pilots. This actually went up in my estimations because I just keep listening to it. It's very, very, very solid pop. And yeah, weirdly enough, my dad's always also into them as well now.
It's always nice when the old gens are into something that you like.
Yeah, can vibe with it.
Yeah.
Number 6, The Marauder by Interpol. It's went down slightly, but it's still excellent.
Okay.
Number 5, Year of the Snitch by Death Grips. Again, went down slightly, but still excellent. The Self-Titled by Kids See Ghosts at number 4.
Yeah.
Number 3, God's Favourite Customer by Father John Misty. Number 2, Joy is an Act of Resistance by Idols. And number 1, You Won't Get What You Want by Daughters. Because I fucking slept so hard on that album, and it is undisputed the best album of 2018 and maybe one of the best frightening experimental rock punk metal albums you'll ever hear.
What made it into your 10 of the decade, didn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the more I listen to it, the more secure it becomes in these placings, because it is phenomenal what they accomplish in it. For everything that's going on in that record, for all of the noise, everything's crystal clear. Everything's horrifying. The lyrical concepts are morbid and just absolutely like razors all over your body, kind of like it feels so tense and so intense.
I mean, we saw them live,
yeah,
and the lead singer had lost his voice by that point,
yeah,
and was visibly annoyed.
yes, it was actually not scary, but there was something so unsettling.
Unhinged in terms of he's so angry. He was flinging the microphone around and hitting himself and sort of storming off stage and coming back.
Yeah,
because they'd been at. I think this was near the end of a long tour, and he definitely lost his voice. But even without his vocals, mostly, the music just propelled you along.
Yeah.
It's so good. And
it changed everything seeing them live.
yeah.
As good as I already knew that album was, it's just absolutely transformed everything.
And this is without the vocals, really.
Yeah. And then when you do go back and reassess it, and you do realize what he's getting at a lot of the time, and like we talked about it in the first episode, like just how insane some of this stuff sounds.
Yeah.
Like the stuff on Guest House is absolutely unfathomably scary for what is like. It's just a mental breakdown in a song.
Yeah, exactly.
It's mad. It's like you're genuinely being stalked by someone. It's crazy. Like, I can't think of an album that does something like that so perfectly and sounds so crisp and so clear while still sounding meaty and not overproduced.
Yes,
It's so perfectly produced that it's just everything in it is just, you can pick out little moments of it. You can pick out the wailing siren of the synth and stuff like that, and all the songs, even when they bury it underneath all the other epic noise that's going on.
Yeah.
Can't say enough good stuff about this album.
Good.
And I feel like a fucking buffoon for even putting it so low.
But that's why these sort of reevaluations are interesting.
Yeah.
Things change, and yeah. I was right. Yeah, should we get into the actual top 10 of this year?
Yes.
Do you want to do a
one-on-one again? One
or you want
10,
did you
10,
want
9,
did you want
9.
to do the worst album of the year?
Oh yeah, like, you know what? Yeah, I'm gonna get, because
just for a bit of goofballs.
Because we're being a little bit, we're still reeling from a bad time in the UK right now, and I am in the mood for it to be a little bit mean.
Yeah,
I'm in the mood for some slagging, and I want to slag.
Let's do it.
I want to slag these cunts again, and I say again because we're talking about people we've already slagged.
Yeah.
So here's my
Pig Stinker of the Year awards.
2019.
How many are you doing? You doing?
I'm doing 3.
I'll do 3 then.
And they're ranked
They'll
by...
be exactly the same, I imagine.
They're ranked by stinky, stinkier, and stinkiest.
Okay, right. I'll follow your credo.
So number 3, stinky, is Everyday Life by Coldplay.
Stinky.
If you watch the previous episode, you'll know what I mean by how fucking sprawling and boring and self-indulgent and shite and weirdly eclectic and yet fucking completely unhinged and bad this album is. But you can't knock the hustle. You've got to admit they tried something and they fucking blew it. They really fucked it up, but they did try something. Number 2, the Stinkier Award. Goes
Silver Stinky.
Silver Stinky goes to Hollywood's Burning by Post Malone. Which was a absolutely fucking detestable album. I hated everything about it, and I genuinely never want to hear it or Post Malone ever again. I think he needs a wash, and I think his music needs to be cleaned from history.
Of all the stinky records, this is the most literal stinky record.
Yeah, I think he looks like a stinky guy. He deserves a stinky award.
Stinky pirate with his shit fucking mumble rap. It's not even mumble rap, it's just boring emotion.
It's
crap.
it's like boring emo rap shit that doesn't
my God.
fucking... I don't get it. I really don't. But number 1, to absolutely no one's surprise, the stinkiest album of the year award goes to The Big Day by Chance the Rapper.
Golden Stinky.
The Golden Stinker. The Prize Pig.
Fucking hell.
What a fucking absolute piece of tosh this album is.
This would be like offcuts of bacon. It would be so disgusting.
It's awful.
A dog would die if you ate this bacon.
It's
Fucking hell.
it's like you've eaten a pig's impacted colon.
Yeah,
It's shite incarnate.
it's so bad. Okay, so here's my bottom three. 125 on my list of 127 albums that I've listened to this year. Bronze Stinky, if we're going with yours. It's Iggy Pop with 3.
Oh god, okay.
I love Iggy, but what the fuck is this album about? Sort of strange tone poems, just like so bad. I don't get it. It's not as bad as some of the records that we've mentioned in this stinkers. And maybe there's an audience for it in terms of quite strange eclectic stuff. I've heard apparently that live it works much better. Maybe
Okay.
that's the case. But the instrumentals, the beats on it, are just fucking crap. Yeah, trash. Real bad. Silver Stinky, 126 on my list of 127 albums that I've listened to so far this year. Post Malone, Hollywood's Bleeding. What else can I say? He's a stinky pirate man. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. It's bad. And Golden Stinky, 127 out of 127, to nobody's surprise, is Chance the Rapper, The Big Day. Fucking hell, what a piece of shit. It's, to go over this, it's about a wedding, and if all weddings were as boring as this, which some of them are, if all weddings were as boring as this, nobody would ever fall in love ever again and worry that you would produce something this noxious. It is crap beyond belief. I don't know what else can be said that hasn't already been said about this.
No.
It's just, what an absolute disappointment. Like, some of his EPs, because this is his first full-length album, apparently.
Yeah.
Some of those, whatever you would call
The
them, mixtapes,
yeah.
were all right.
Yeah.
They're sort of quite interesting in terms of mid 2010s rap.
I genuinely only really like acid rap.
Yeah, it's
I don't
alright,
even like
it's
any of the other
okay.
ones. 10 Days okay.
There's a few interesting things on the
Yeah.
others, but like, for somebody as heralded as he is,
Yeah.
it is fucking shocking.
It is. It's insane.
And what we haven't mentioned is that it goes on for a day.
Yeah.
It is
77
long as
minutes
fuck.
long. 77 minutes of absolute self-indulgent trash. And the thing is, self-indulgence usually implies some level of like lush instrumentation and some sprawling soundscapes or some shit like that. No, this album sounds like he knocked it out in an afternoon.
77 minutes doesn't sound long. If you break that down into episodes of The Simpsons, that's only 3.5 Simpsons episodes. But 77 minutes in the company of the most boring, shitty production, fucking like tone deaf, terrible singing, terrible rapping, terrible guest verses, terrible production. Oh my god. I would rather watch I would rather watch 77 minutes of modern Simpsons than listen to this again.
Yeah. And yeah, it is because of the wasted potential that it's so aggravating. But
Maybe there's worse albums.
oh yeah, there absolutely will
this
be
year.
worse
I've not
albums.
heard them.
Moving along, if we disregard that, otherwise it's been a very, very good year
It has
for
been
music.
a very good year.
Let's give some nods to some cunts that didn't make it into the top 10 but were pretty fucking good.
Okay, who have you got?
Just to rattle through them quickly, I'd say Charlie XCX was an extremely standout one. Like,
Yeah.
Charlie is a great album, great pop album. I really liked Tom York's Anima.
Okay.
I think it's a strong entry in his catalogue. I really found myself liking a lot more than I ever expected to the Tim Heidecker album, What the Broken Hearted Do.
Okay.
A genuinely sort of sincere attempt to make some like pop ballads, which were like surprisingly cool. real strong recommendation for a double whammy of Trust in the Life Force of the Deep Mystery and The Afterlife by The Comet Is Coming.
Yeah.
Excellent jazz records, and the two of them are like companion pieces, so you have to listen to both, and I heavily recommend that you do. Igor by Tyler the Creator.
Yeah.
His best work to date.
Okay.
You Know What I'm Saying by Danny Brown. Barely didn't make it into the top 10.
Yeah.
An excellent rap album with a lot of fucking humour in it. And Schlagenheim by Black Midi.
Yeah. Okay.
Which is an excellent experimental sort of math rock album. Which
I'd agree with most of those there. I'd totally agree with it. Great honourable mentions from myself would include the new Mayhem album. I was surprised by how great it was. Infest the Rat's Nest, King Gizzard is the first King Gizzard record that I really loved. It was good. The compilation of sort of 80s Amazonian tribe music or sort of weird electronica stuff.
Yeah.
Jambu es Mythicon Sons D Amazonia is great. The Blank Mass record really grew on me.
Mm-hmm.
I really love it now. Brockhampton's Ginger. I'd go with Black Midi Like Yourself. Danny Brown almost making the top 10.
Yeah, that was a tough one.
I really liked the Freddie Gibbs and Madlib album. The big pop success of the year, I was really into it. I love that new Billie Eilish record.
Yeah.
It's really just, in terms of great pop music, fuck it, it's great.
Yeah.
Another one I never talked about was The Murder Capital.
Oh, yeah.
Sort of
that's a good album.
post-punk.
Yeah.
I think they're Dublin-based, really crunchy grooves, post-punk. El Cat with an album called Sadia Jefferson. They're really worth checking out. Just missing the top 10. Blood Incantation, JPEG Mafia's All My Heroes Are Cornballs, just missing the top 10 for me.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just missing it for me.
Okay.
So yeah, it's been a good year. And number 11, before we get into the top 10, I bleated on about this in an early episode, but that Beth Gibbons and the Polish National Radio Symphony Orchestra is fucking great. I've totally wasn't expecting it. Bit of classical music. It's just listen to the production on that record. That is just world ending. It's fucking great. That's my number 11. Doesn't get into the top 10, but that is just great.
Okay.
So there you go. So I'm interested to hear the list, because I think there might be some slight differences, I think.
So.
Yeah.
So my top 10
Number 10.
begins now. Number 10 for 2019 is When We All Fall Asleep, Where Do We Go by Billie Eilish.
Oh, well, cool.
My pop choice for the year.
It's great. I love it.
Extremely good, and it grew and grew and grew the more I listened to it, and like the mood and the atmosphere that she cultivates is great. Her voice is outstanding, and like the
Production's
beats,
really good.
The production and the beats are amazing. Like that's all her brother, can't remember his name now, but like great fucking work that guy's doing.
Billy. He's spelled
Billy too.
Billy.
Boy Billy.
Boy Billy and Girl Billy.
An excellent pop record with a lot of atmosphere and sort of mood and a lot of swagger.
Yeah.
She's one to look out for. I feel like she's got a lot in the tank, because the single that she released towards the end of the year, Everything I Wanted, is her new single, and it's excellent, and it's like showing it's even moodier and even more somber, and I think that's like a really nice sign of things to come for her. I just want more of that.
Cool. Sometimes something is popular for a reason.
Oh yeah.
This is just good pop music with enough bite to it that old jaded men like me and you can really dig it.
Yeah?
Yeah, it's good. My number 10 is the compilation Tunes 2011 to 2019 by Burial.
Okay.
Bit of a cheat, but it's Burial, so give us that. I love Burial. Those first two albums proper, self-titled one and Untrue in the previous decade, are just some of the greatest albums. They're correctly heralded as masterpieces. And then what happened was there seemed to be a period of not quiet, but sort of regular EP releases from Burial.
Yeah.
And if I'm honest, when they were coming out sporadically in the last decade, you would get like the 2-track EP and you'd be like, oh, it's good, but you just sort of wanted more.
Yeah.
So you sort of forgot about them. And some of them you actively were like, I'm not as into this. But what is so great about this album is it compiles most of those tracks of the EPs released in the last decade, 2011 to 19, like I say. And when they all sit together, it really works. It takes you on... it's got all the hallmarks of classic Burial. Sort of scratchy production. It sounds like it's raining. The sort of ghostly, ethereal samples. But within that, it reminds you of just how beautiful the compositions can be, to the point where they almost work beyond typical dance music. It sort of works almost on another field of like, oh, there's something quite otherworldly about this music. And within this compilation, and it's a long compilation, a lot of these individual tracks are 9-10 minutes long. So it's a double album. It's about, I don't know, it's over 2 hours, 149 minutes or something like that. But within that, the production is so varied, although remaining distinctly Burial, that it's brilliant. You'll be listening to, and just how the subtle changes that you hear in his music over the last 10 years is so great. You'll be listening to it and you think it's just your typical melancholic Burial, but then a beat will come in from somewhere from the ether, more even like a sort of pop house beat or something, and it's life invigorating. You're like, my God, this is great. So it has a whole sort of palette of different sounds and energies to it, and it's just great to have another Burial record after so long. The EPs, it's just great to have them all together, and then you can see sort of it's strange in terms of, because there's not a lot of new music on this. There's a couple of tracks from 2019 on it, but compiling them together, you then realise the man's a genius. So that would be my sort of cheat, but it was released. It's got 2019 material in it.
Yeah.
And so I love it.
And as you say, it's sort of it feels more cohesive when it's all rounded up into something. Because even thinking about like the transition they made from like even like Untrue to Kindred to Rival Dealer.
Oh God, right! You forget
Kindred
how
and
good
Rival Dealer are so fucking good. Those two EPs are my favourites that he's ever put out. I'd forgotten
how good they were. But like I'd listened to them in 2011 and 13 or whenever they were released, and then not listen to them like I would have listened to Untrue or the self-titled, and then pulling them all together, you're just like, fuck, they're great. Yeah, really good.
Criminally underrated. So yeah, that's nice.
I'm going to count it as a proper album.
Yeah,
it's great.
Absolutely.
Good.
My number 9 is Ginger by Brockhampton.
Oh, cool.
It is the hip hop R&B pop hybrid thing that I've always wanted but never knew I needed.
Okay.
That band was a relatively unknown factor to me for a long, long time until these singles started coming out, like Pray If You Pray Right and like all that sort of stuff, like Boy Bye and that started coming out.
Boy Bye is so good.
And I started buying in to Brockhampton. And then when I experienced Ginger as a whole, Sure, it's patchy in places. Sure, there's some problems towards the back end of the album. But the points where it hits emotionally and just for sheer, like, fucking poppy catchiness in places as well, it's outstandingly accomplished. And as an emotional moment of catharsis for the band, I greatly appreciate it, because it's their breakup album, it's their getting past Amir Van album.
Yeah.
I understand that there's a lot of weight to it, and you can even see it in the videos that they've made. Everything about the album sort of smacks of emotional maturity as compared to stuff that was on Saturation 1, 2, 3, Iridescent, all that sort of stuff. I think this album is going to be, when people look back, is going to be the thing that defines Brockhampton.
Yeah.
And I think because it was a shift away from what people were used to, they weren't willing to give it the love that it fully, completely deserves.
Yeah, I think you might be onto something there.
And I found myself coming back to this time and time again. It's an excellent album, and it's probably going to be what I listen to a lot next year as well.
Yeah, it's on my honourable mentions, almost into the top 10, but yeah, it's good. It's really good.
It was just in the past couple of weeks, in fact, that I've sort of like bumped it up further and further, because actually that spot I did envision going to Tyler. I did think Igor was going to get there, but Igor got pipped by Ginger.
Yeah.
As emotionally full as Igor is, and as cool and as full of ideas as it is, it feels less complete than Ginger does.
Okay.
And it also feels less like invigorating when you listen to it. It feels less like
Fair enough.
Ginger has moments where you genuinely do feel like you're enrobed by it, and Igor has some like problems that I sort of some of it you bounce off of a tiny little bit.
No, I'd go with you.
So yeah, that's me.
My number 9 is one that I haven't mentioned on this show before. It is the new one from Sharon Van Eaton, Remind Me Tomorrow.
Okay.
She's a singer-songwriter, more akin to sort of emotionally vulnerable sort of folk poppy stuff, but this one she really brings into the she brings some more electronic sounds into the record, and in terms for single, it's just great pop rock fucking bangers. Like the majority of the album is just banger after banger after banger, and it's nuanced in its lyrics and delivery that it's quite emotional as well. It's a really interesting, great record. But yeah, no, this is just a great record. It uses a lot of sounds and textures from sort of 80s synth, but it doesn't sound dated. It's just a great pop rock record. The production is so good. Anybody could get into it. And what's so good about it is it could appeal to teenagers. But she is a mother of, I don't know how many children she has, but she's in her mid to late 30s, and it's all about the stresses of life and raising children and just sort of the sort of day-to-day emotional heartbreak of various situations. But it never gives up on its poppiness and its just rock outness, and it's just great. I was really taken by this record. I was like, I wasn't expecting to love it as much. Yeah. And it's just steadily grown on me throughout the year. So I would really highly recommend it. It's really, really fucking good. It's really good.
Excellent. My number 8 is something that came completely out of left field for me, and it happened very, very recently. Number 8 is Animated Violence Mild by Blank Mass. It shot way up, and I don't know what corner I turned, but
yeah, I don't know why I was sleeping on it as well, because it's really went up in my estimation as well.
Like, I remember talking about it and us being like, this is a great album, and like I remember in the episode I was like, we're not saying anything negative about this album. Why isn't it our album of the month? and neither of us really had an answer.
No.
I came up with something on the spot as a reason for not liking it as much as I wanted to, and it was that it felt disposable. But then we even talked about the fact that it feels disposable by design.
Yeah.
Because that's ultimately what this album is. It's something that's manufactured to within an inch of its life as a statement.
Yeah.
And that's kind of excellent. There's something kind of great about this album in the statement that it's making and in how fucking amazingly intense these bangers are. It's just one fucking excellent dance track after another.
Yeah.
It's absolutely everything that I want from dance music. It's towering, massive, fucking swelling, big, like, choruses.
Yeah.
Because, like, there's no lyrics, but
No.
you can feel the moment when the chorus kicks
God,
in.
it's so good.
You can feel the swell, you can feel the drop when it happens, and you can feel, like, the big transition and bridges in it and everything. It's like, there's not a bad fucking track on it.
No, there really isn't.
And the only thing that stops it from being higher is that ultimately it is a dumb, disposable dance album.
Yeah.
But that's just fine.
Cool.
So.
I'm going to re-listen to it after this then, I think. My number 8, and this has fluctuated more than any other album, is Igor by Tyler, the Creator.
Okay.
This, when it initially came out, the love for this album was so huge that it was really sitting up in the high tens for me. And it's sort of been taken over by certain other records throughout the year. The Rockhampton record, like you said, some of the other ones. At one point, it was overtaken by both JPEG and Danny Brown. Yeah. But then I had enough time away from the record whereby I re-listened to it in preparation for this. I was like, fuck no, right? This is the one in the 10. This has to be over those other great records.
Okay.
There is, as you know, anybody that's followed Tyler over the years, just the marked change, and even from the last record, like Scumfuck Flower Boy.
Yeah, Scumfuck Flower Boy.
You know, it's got the beginnings of what this album is.
Yeah.
But this is so sort of standalone as a piece that I just had to give it the credit that I think it's due. Production's great. There's a real emotional vulnerability to it. Forget it even being rap music. There's a couple of verses on it. When he spits a bar, he still can do it.
Yeah.
With all the rugged charm that we love from him. But mostly this is a sort of almost sort of like 70s or like 70s Barry White, 80s Sadie record. It really wears its heart on its sleeve, and I was just won over by it. Re-listening to all these albums, it's a very sweet album in some ways, but it really deals with heartache and breaking up in an interesting way. I think this year we've been inundated with albums dealing with the loss of a relationship or breaking up with someone. But this is the one that just sung to me the most, I guess.
Yeah.
It shouldn't work in many ways, but re-listening to it, I was like, no, I think I was underappreciating this a little.
So, my number 7 is one that I assumed was going to be quite high in your top 10, but apparently not. All My Heroes Are Cornballs by JPEG Mafia. It's the best, like, weirdo experimental hip hop album of the year, bar one.
Intrigued.
It's so bizarre and eclectic in what he's trying to do, as per usual. There's just this horrible mishmash of shit going on, and noise and shouting and weird samples layered over themselves over and over again ad nauseum.
Yeah.
Everything's a test of patience. Everything's a test of your desire to love an album, but you end up
Yes.
loving it regardless because it's so ridiculously good. And the fire in his fucking belly is undeniable. It's all over this album just how fucking angry he is.
It's great.
It's very good.
It's really good.
And he's a funny cunt as well.
It's really funny.
It's a really funny album in places, but it's definitely like way more ferocious than it initially gives any impression that it's going to be.
Yeah.
And yeah, it really stuck with me, and the more I listened to it, the more I was like, it's hypnotic. It drags you in and then sort of spits you out the other end, and you're like, oh fuck, okay.
Yeah,
I just
totally
listened to
agree
it
with
yet again. Yeah, very, very good.
I would say completely the same. This album was so close to being in the top 10. I'll tell you what held it back. When I reevaluated my 2018 list, Veteran just has the edge over it for me.
Yeah.
So in reevaluating my 2018 list, I was like, are you fucking insane? You've left Veteran off the list. So maybe just in comparison to Veteran, I don't like it as much.
Yeah.
But that is me not criticising it. I still love the record, and I would repeat everything that you said. And maybe because of that, it hasn't made its way into the top 10. I think this album, as great as it is, it's slightly disjointed, and that's by design.
Yeah.
Whereas Veteran is more streamlined, and it's just like bang, bang, bang. Here we go. This is more varied, and in some ways that's more admirable. But in terms of just punch in the gut, doesn't get me as much as Veteran. My number 7, The Comet's Coming, Truth in the Life Force of the Deep Mystery. What else can be said about this record? It slaps. It just is hands down the grooviest, funkiest, rhythmically just like pleasing record of the year. It's just a sort of space age, jazzy, funky record with sort of touches of disco in it, and it's just infectious. Like we were saying in a previous episode, the brass work on it alone is outstanding. It doesn't scale the heights of something like Sons of Kemet did for the previous year, but in terms of most ferociously enjoyable, I have to give it to this record of all the other records of the year.
It's like perfectly produced pop jazz.
Yeah, exactly.
It's like they've honed jazz to a fine point, and it's like it's so led by the sax.
Yeah,
and the sax riffs are so perfect that you can't really. There's no way you can't just jive to it. It's great.
And us calling it a jazz record might put people off.
Yeah,
but it is so good and so sort of danceable and funky that you could go into it having known nothing about jazz, no appreciation for it, and going just like, this is just fucking balls to the wall, just great dance along music. I don't include the EP. The EP is good, but it doesn't scale the same heights for me. But yeah, I love it. It's great.
My number 6 is Caligula by Lingua Ignota.
Fair enough.
An ordeal.
Am I going to talk about it later?
I'll keep it to a minimum then. Because ultimately I do feel like we're going to say pretty much the same thing, and that it's a hell of a musical and thematic accomplishment. The sort of images that she conjures are haunting and terrifying, and her vocal performances are absolutely outstanding. The live performances are literally just her
Yeah.
with a fucking screen and a light, basically, and it's fascinating and terrifying and haunting in all the right ways. It's an album that isn't fun to listen to, and it's not one that I found myself going to often, but every now and then I'd get the notion for it, and you just have to stick the whole thing on, and you have to fucking grit your teeth and wear through it.
Yeah.
And when you come out the other end, you're better for it, because it's a fascinating journey that you go on. It's a bit patchy in places.
Yeah.
And it could be called self-indulgent, but it all adds to this fucking amazing experience that it gives you. And it's like, it's from a horribly dark place.
Yeah.
But it's been used to inspire something that's literally just a fucking incantation to summon a spirit of vengeance to slay her foes. And that's fascinating as a piece of music and as an experience.
Exactly. Yeah. I love it, and may talk about it later. My number 6 is one that I never featured on my list previously. It's Tropical Fuckstorm with Brain Drops. This is an Australian band, sort of scuzzy punk psychedelica. If there's a grubbier, nastier, smellier, in a good way, record this year, I haven't heard it. It just fucking rocks. You know, sometimes, rock music, you're ill served in the modern era. Like, there's got to be, you got to be down with the kids or whatever. This is just like, they don't give a fuck about your opinion of them, and I know it's had some varying critical response, but it's just great. It's just scuzzy, sweaty, horrible punk music with enough sort of variance in the vocal delivery and the lyrical themes and the instrumentation that it's truly brilliant. It sort of can go from Nick Cave murder ballady, sort of almost folk influence, to sort of post-punk, to just sort of almost disco-ish freakouts, and it's always got this underlying groove to it that is infectious. It massively underrated record of the year, and I just love it. It's really cool.
Number 5, unprecedented. It's Girl with Basket of Fruit by Shoo Shoo.
Hey!
It went from me being absolutely fucking disgusted by it earlier on in the year to thinking about it a lot, because I heard it again on a Spotify recommendations thing. I think it was the title track. It got pushed into a recommended playlist, and I was like, well, I
just clicked.
I get it.
Yeah.
There's something happening here, and then all of a sudden, like a fucking week later, I was obsessed with the album. I'd listened to it like a dozen times, and then I was listening to everything else that Shoo Shoo's ever done, and now I love Shoo Shoo, and I love this album, and it's so fucking dark and weird and twisted that it's like, as dark as Caligula is, this fucking album gets real fucking sinister in places.
Right.
And because of the vocal delivery and because of the weirdness of the instrumentation, I think sometimes it obfuscates it a little bit. But it is so unhinged in places that you have to liken it to like a weird like prog freakout.
Yeah.
It can be nothing else but a prog freakout that just so happens to be underscored by bizarre, glitchy electronic music. It's not even that hard of a listen because it's actually pretty short. All of their albums, all of Shoo Shoo's albums are surprisingly short. And yeah, as daunting and as baffling as it was to begin with, now Everton on it just fucking slaps for me. I think Everton's
Fair
like
enough.
a fucking pop hit to me now.
Fair enough.
It's like the whole album, as soon as you get it, you really fucking get it. It's like you've taken a new crazy drug that lets you see things clearly for the first time. Cool. And all of a sudden, I understand this album. And Yeah.
Well, I'm
yeah.
going to have to re-listen to it because, in honesty, I've not listened to it in a couple of months. I sort of begrudgingly appreciated it. I think some of it turned me off.
Yeah.
But on subsequent listens, I was like, oh, this is interesting. But I've not re-listened to it in a couple of months. So, yeah, who knows? Maybe that's one that'll shoot up for me as well. My number 5, Ghost Teen, Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds.
Okay.
I love it. I'm a huge Nick Cave mark. I've loved them since I was a teenager. And this album is, without a doubt, the most beautiful record that they've put out in their discography. Just in terms of the sonic palette on it is so gorgeous and lush. And his singing, the real thing that surprised me with this record, after years of listening to Nick Cave, is his singing on it is gorgeous.
Yeah.
Like you became accustomed to Nick's more narrative style and the delivery, and then when he sings, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
It's less of a difficult listen than some of the albums that we've listened to, but it's about deep and troubling and sad issues.
Yeah.
After the death of his son. And some of it is so bleak, but at the same time it has this sort of genuine trying to cope with an issue and find some sort of, I don't know, I guess you would call it spiritual redemption, maybe,
Yeah.
or philosophical redemption. That it's fascinating. It's a beautiful record, and it's definitely one that's going to grow on me. His lyrics are as great as they always are. Very much no longer narratively based.
Yeah.
But more sort of based on sort of just scenarios. My one slight itch with the record is the band seems somewhat forgotten about.
Yeah.
It's very much, and that's by design. And then my issue with it initially was that it's very much just synth passages and maybe a little bit of melodic piano, but the percussion had been left out. But then re-listening to it, it's definitely by design, because I think he's spoken about how the drums and percussion were not used because they very much anchor you to the earth.
Yeah.
Whereas this is more ethereal in the sort of spiritual realm, I guess. But then in that final song, Hollywood, that's when the drums come back in a big fucking way.
Yeah.
And then that impact is so much greater because you've not had that on the rest of the record. I don't know if I love it as much as Push the Sky Away or some of his other earlier records, but it is still another masterpiece from a man and a band that keep putting out masterpieces. So it's got to be on the list.
Yeah. Number 4, There Existed an Addiction to Blood by Clipping.
Hey.
It is the experimental hip-hop album of the year for me.
Even the 20 minutes of burning piano at the end.
Disregarding bizarre Foley experimentations, everything on this album packs such a fucking punch and cultivates such an atmosphere that it's their most accomplished album to date, and probably the one it'll be the one I go back to the most often, if only to just keep listening to Nothing Is Safe over and over again until the day I die. Because
so good.
If we were to do a top 10 singles of the year, it would be my number 1, because I've listened to it so fucking much, and like even before the album came out, I just listened to it on repeat constantly, and I'm still not sick of it. I love it. Everything. It's a perfect track, and the album I wouldn't say is built on it, but it definitely because it sits right up at the front of the album, and because it's so strong, and because it cultivates such an atmosphere, that it really does help. It's the spine around which the rest of the skeleton forms, and it's such a strong track and gives birth to such a strong theme and such a strong tone that carries throughout the entire album, that I think it's like, yeah, the vibe, the horror vibe, the sort of the themes of violence as spectacle and stuff like that, and like people becoming indifferent or passive, all of these things interweaving, like gore and blood and violence as something that's more, what would you call it, like sort of not necessarily celebrated, but something that is definitely like more part of everyday life. It's just part of who you are now. It's like you see it in everything around you, and it's like they've turned one of their like really, really heavily grounded story tracks into a horror movie about society.
Yes, yeah.
It's incredibly smart, incredibly accomplished, and there's some amount of bangers on it. So it is the hip hop album of the year.
Fair enough. So my fourth is either Slow Ties, Nothing Great About Britain, or Little Simz, Grey Area.
Okay.
Two British hip hop records, very different in style. Slow Ties is sort of more indebted to old school grime, and it's got a sort of punk element to it, and it's very lacerating and it's funny. And the little grime kid in me, when this came out, was just, oh, this is so good, and it's funny and it's grotty, and it's just like stick the V's up at everything in Britain at the moment. It's so pointed in its criticisms, and it's just fucking great. Little Simz record is more indebted to pop, but it's still got a footing in old school grime. The production is more varied than Slow Ties, and it's just great pop record. It's a great pop record, but then it's got great hip hop on it. It's more varied. The production is fantastic. Her flow is brilliant in a sort of really understated way. So I just can't pick between the two. One of them's third, one of them's fourth. So when we get to number 3, I'll just say it's one of those.
Number 3, Ghosteen by Nick Cave and the Bad Seeds.
Okay.
It's everything that you said. It's poetic and beautiful and haunting and like ethereal and magical in a way. Like it's him singing falsetto vocals shouldn't work. It really shouldn't, because he's never done it before. Like, never been like that gung ho about like trying to challenge himself vocally.
Yeah.
It cuts you to your very quick. It's insane. Yeah. Nothing probably emotionally comes close to it, and yeah, you're right, there's probably better Nick Cave albums. In fact, Push the Sky Away probably is a better album, but this album has a rawness to it, and a sort of vulnerability to it that we've never really seen him get that close to being that completely defenseless.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's it. Nothing more to be said. It's a masterpiece.
Fair enough. My third or my fourth is either Little Simz or Slow Tie. If I want to keep the rhythm, do you want to do your second, or do you want to do your third, or shall I do my second?
That was my third, so
that was your third.
It would be my second now. It Won't Be Like This All the Time by Twilight Sad. It's an incredibly catchy and effective indie rock, sort of shoegazy, wall of noise kind of post-rock album. There's moments here where they're punchier and punkier and louder and more fun than they've ever been.
Right.
And there's also moments here where they're like genuinely like sort of more exposed and like, I don't know, unpretentious
Okay.
than they've ever been, and everything adds up to an album that I've listened to obsessively since January,
Okay.
and it's not lost any of its shine. It still fucking rocks. It's raw and rough and ready and fucking towering. It sounds like fucking 1,000 feet tall in places. And yeah, if you like your wall of noise, if you like your shoegaze,
Fair enough.
you absolutely have to listen to it, and you just have to listen to everything that they've ever done, because they do nothing but put out absolute blinders.
Fair enough.
Still to put out a bad album.
Cool. My number 2 is Caligula by Lingua Ignota. Last year, my number 1 was a bleak, drive through harrowing material. It goes to that is my second place this time. Like what you said, it's harrowing. It's a difficult listen. It maybe is patchy in places, but I have elevated it to 2 because there is no album this year, including the number 1, but I prefer that album. There's no album this year that has put me through the ringer like this has. It's not one for your granny. It's difficult and it's dark and it's the most metal, non-metal album ever made. When she screams, it cuts right through me. So it's intimidating almost as a record, and it is truly terrifying and disturbing. So just on the visceral reaction I had from it, it's really stuck with me, and every time I listen to it, it wrong foots me, and I think, this isn't the moment that it's going to kick me round the head, is it? Oh no, it is. And it's a great record. Thematically, it's bold and challenging as a listener, and I think, like you said, if you get through this record, you're better at the end of it. The first time I listened to this late at night, not expecting anything, really. Just like, I've heard it's a decent album. And I was frightened. I was genuinely frightened after listening to it. It sounds like somebody is going through an exorcism on this album. Just everything in this woman is being screamed out of her. And it's strangely cathartic as a record. Maybe because of that. Yeah, really powerful stuff.
So, my album of the year.
I'm really struggling to... Oh no, I just remembered. I know exactly what it is. But yeah, on you go.
My album of the year, and again, if you've been listening throughout the whole year, you'll probably not be surprised at all. It's Fear Inoculum by Tool. Number 1 in my heart is the boys. They're back in town after 13 fucking years. They release an album, and it's what I wanted. It's what I needed. And it's an excellent prog rock album. There's so many moving parts and so much going on in it. And as per usual, Tool just blew me away with how much they've thought about each and every little piece of their mechanism. It's like, it's an unfathomable puzzle box of an album that I fucking love. Some genuine, like, moments of, like, again, they've challenged themselves a little bit on it. It's not just that they've made the status quo. Anyone who listened to this album and heard, oh, it's just another Tool album, clearly you're not a big Tool fan, because Maynard was genuinely challenging himself in the vocals. The drums are as on point as they're ever going to be. There's moments where the guitar is stronger than it's ever been. It's excellent. It's just, I wouldn't say it's a flawless album, but it's the one I enjoyed and listened to the most this year. And yeah, so long waited for and so fucking worth it.
Fair
That's
enough.
it.
Now, I'm not a Tool fan. I've never really heard them, but I have listened to this album.
Mhm.
So, I don't know what I was expecting going into this. I had an image of Tool in my head, more like a sort of. I thought they were more like a Melvins type band, or like a Mr. Bungle, like a more sort of like
Monged.
frantic, or sort of like proggy, but a little more frantic.
Yeah.
Whereas this is sort of more indebted to Sabbath in some ways. It's a lot of sort of slow, heavy grooves.
Yeah.
So I think
Spacier.
yeah. So I was sort of wrong-footed by the record. And I'm really interested. I've not listened to the back catalogue, so I'd be really interested to hear how this compares to their older stuff.
Yeah.
Right, my number one, which has surprised me more than anything, is the new Richard Dawson record, 2020, which is, Richard Dawson is, I think he's from Newcastle, sort of singer-songwriter, more folk-influenced and very interested in sort of English history. There's albums that he's done previously that are sort of indebted to sort of medieval, almost sort of Geoffrey Chaucer-like tales.
Okay.
Whereas this album sort of updates it, so you're getting narrative pieces. Every song is a separate narrative piece from one character or a scenario or something. But it's set in a Great Britain in the very near future, 2020. And it's bleak, but unlike some other bleak records that we've listened to this year, it's funny as fuck. It's really funny. The lyricism on it is second to none. To the fact that he's beaten Nick Cave for me this year, which is truly surprising for me. And outside of all of that, the production is brilliant. The songs are varied enough. There's hints of different styles going on, and just in terms of rock music and guitar-led music this year, this is the best record for me. It's just a fantastic record. I'm obsessed with it. I've listened to it over and over again. His singing is gorgeous, and it's witty, it's clever. Yeah, can't beat it. Love it. And not to get heavy, Britain's a fucking shit tip right now. This is a sort of State of the Nation album, but it's done with such a sort of darkly comedic tone that you're at the same time you're like, fuck, this is grim, but at the same time you laugh, and at the same time it gives you this adrenaline shot of energy where you're like, fuck, we need to do something about this. So it's great. I love it. It's a fucking great record.
Yeah, I thought, the more I thought about it, and the October episode.
October was the strongest month of...
But it was like, when it came down to it, and I thought genuinely both of us were going to agree on the Ghost Teen thing, and then you came out with the Richard Dawson one. I was like, is this going to be his album of the year? And lo and behold, it actually was. Because I thought, like, you're so not a folk guy.
No.
That when this landed so cleanly for you, I was like, holy shit, this is going to be
something.
This is a big deal.
Something clicked for me.
And that's kind of excellent that it can be like, it's just, it speaks so strongly to our incensed, angry, bitter, fucking lefty hearts right now. That like it's just, it landed for you so thoroughly.
And maybe there's something about doing this over a year, and one of the things that I've enjoyed the most out of doing this over the last year is exposing myself to other musics and then reevaluating those albums out with my previous preferences, that an album like this could land so heavily with me that it's like, fuck, that's great. Yeah, it's good. Plus, there's not a lot of folk stuff on it.
Yeah.
it's more sort of like rock and roll and electronica. Bits of folk. Yeah, love it. It's great.
Yeah, I think genuinely this year of this little project that we've got going on has benefited us. We've sort of grown in our musical tastes. I certainly know that I have like the fucking top 10 that I've got.
Yours was more hip-hop,
surprised me. Like, I mean, the shoo thing, the blank mass, like, yeah, like JPEG hurtling up into the top 10. Like, I didn't see any of this coming. Like,
no, mine too. There's a lot of albums that would have been on my top 10 list in 2018.
Yeah.
Before having listened to a whole year of new music, that then just didn't make it, just because you have a broader spectrum.
Yeah.
An appreciation for other sorts of things. Yes, I think it's been worthwhile. It's been great fun.
And I'm looking forward to more. It's been a good year.
It has been.
Well, musically, it's been a good year. And hopefully we'll have another good year next year.
Hopefully so.
And hopefully things will start looking up politically as well. Otherwise, we're both going to be a real big downer on the next year's end of year lists.
Yeah.
But yeah, so if you've listened all the way through this whole year of this little project of ours, thank you.
Yeah, thank you very much. Yeah.
If you liked this episode, say something in the comments. If you don't, I'm going to find you.
Yeah, what have we missed this year?
Maybe we'll eventually in the new year do an entire episode dedicated to double albums so I can stop cutting it out.
Yeah, maybe.
Who knows? There's plenty of... I want to do an entire episode dedicated to Angelic to the Core. I think we need a whole episode.
Yeah, I think maybe.
Because it's going to be worth it.
Yeah.
I need to listen to that album all the way through again.
Yeah.
So yeah, what a wild ride it's been. So hopefully you'll join us in 2020 when things will get better.
Yeah, see you soon.
Take care.
Take care. Be good to each other. Bye.